day 2 of 2021 Advent of Code. It's me back. Gonna do day 2. I'm starting to get a little self-conscious that I'm waiting until lunch to do these. All the leaderboards that I'm a part of have me coming in so late, so I might start pushing it to be a little bit earlier in the day. We'll see. All right, let's look at the problem for day 2. Dive. We need to figure out how to pilot that submarine. Can take series of commands: forward 1, down 2, up 3, forward, up, down, increases, decreases. All right, so it looks like we have 2 axes, right? Forward, maybe we have backward. It doesn't look like it, but and then an up and a down, which we'll just consider it like a positive and a negative versions of that number. Oh, I see. So down would be like a positive number, right? So because we're calculating it as feet below the surface, right? So that'll be something might trick us up. So down 5 would actually be +5, and up 3 would be actually like -3. Okay, so we'll have to remember that. Horizontal starts 0, forward 5, forward 8, 13, forward 2 to 15. Okay, so it looks like we're not going backwards. All right, feel like we know enough here. Let's grab. Let's see what the puzzle input is first. Okay. So let's actually just copy day 1. Rename it to day 2. And get into there. Okay. And this is going to be an important, right, as we're going to have to parse these lines at some point. Let's grab this test. All right, our test stuff. Okay, and then let's go to main and get rid of some of these things that we don't need. We are going to want to keep make string or make int, because when we parse these numbers, they're going to initially be strings, and we're going to have to turn them into integers. Obviously, that's not something that we'll do in our input here, right? So let's make sure that we pull that out of here. Okay, is greater. We don't care about this anymore. We'll still care about function. Don't care about that. And let's comment all these out. All right, so we got part 1, part 2. I'm going to actually change this. All right, so we've clipped down our main part. We're going to have to get rid of these tests. We're going to keep load input. We're going to keep make int. Let's just get rid of the rest. All right, so here for load input, we're going to still keep the load input as this, and then we're going to want to set these as strings. Some commas after each of these because it's a list of strings, and then we'll tab these over. All right, so this is what we want. Hold on, don't need this either. All right, so this is the beginning of our testing. These should pass. Well, we'll see if they pass. Let's pull a terminal up. This make int should definitely pass. Passes. Okay. So this tells us that we're able to make an int. That's good. We never changed the original one. And that when we load our input, it's getting to the file and returning a slice of strings looking like this. Okay. Now what we're going to want to do is parse these, right? First, we're going to have to turn them into an array. So let's make a, we'll use this one, function. We'll call it make array. Oops. And we should call it slice, just to be proper in Go, because this is slice, not an array. And what we'll do is input forward 5, for example, and what we want to return with is slice containing strings forward and do we want a number there yet? It's kind of a combination there, isn't it? We're only going to do this once. Once we make it a number, we make it a number. Let's just keep it a string of 5. The test-driven development part of this suggests that we should only be doing, one thing at a time and not sort of doing all these sorts of combinations. That allows us to make sure that this make slice function is testable and just makes a slice, and then we'll have we have our other one that says make int. We know that when we use that, it'll work. We don't want to confuse whether make slice works or not with whether it integrates well with make int. Okay, so that's what we'll do. Actually, let me collapse that, give us more room. And let's just do a couple of these, right? So we got a forward one. I mean, there's no reason why any of these should be different, right? Down, up 3. All right, so let's go ahead and test it. It fails, mostly because we don't even have this function yet. So let's go ahead and make it. Func make slice, and what we're going to be passing into it is just a regular string, right? So, and what we want out of it is a slice of string. Did I spell that wrong? String. All right, let's make it. So we got to separate that. So what we'll do is, it should just be a one-liner, right? Return, and I don't know if it's I think it's strings is the library, and yeah, split. So we're gonna split. And so what's really nice is that it has documentation here and Go. So S is going to be the string. So str is the string that we're looking to split. And then the separator, what we're going to split it on, is going to be a space, right? Okay, and that should return that list of strings. Let's go ahead and test it now. And it passes. All right, so now we are able to successfully take each of these lines that we have pulled out here and turn it into its own separate string there, right? Or slice of strings. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. Let's think. Now, what are we going to have to do? So we're going to be we need to parse this, right, in some way. We need to look at these two parts, right? And we need to do something with the number and do something with the forward, up, or down. Now, the question is do we just make this a part of... And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through the input, right? We're going to start a function, part one, right, that says, what do they call it here? H position, right, equals 0, right, and depth equals 0, right? And then we're going to iterate through this list. So we're going to range over the list. I'm going to say, the line, we're going to split that line into forward and 5, and then we're going to parse forward, right? And then we're going to parse 5, right? So what we're going to do is say, if, index 0 equals forward, then turn index 2 into a number and add it to H position, right? And I don't think any of those things really need to be tested. So because that's all just sort of logic. So let's add a part 1 here. Part 1, we're only going to need one line, and the input is going to be load input in part 1. The input will be input. And this is failing right now here, right? Because we have the previous one had it being ints, right? So we'll get to that. So multiplying those together, 150, we want the input to be 150. All right. So obviously that's going to fail. It won't even compile, right? Because we have here part 1, we'll pass in. Want that to be a string. That should clear up that. Good. All right. So now we should be able to test it, but it should fail, right? We want 150, got 99 because we're just hard coding that in. All right. So now let's get our logic here. So we're going to initialize H position at 0 and depth at 0. Okay, so those are our first things, and we're going to be returning H position times, times depth. Okay, Right now that'll return 0, right? Actual 0. Okay. So what are we going to do? We're going to do for, we don't care about the index. And instruction in range data. All right, so this right here is going to be iterating through the entire list of strings, right? Now what we're going to do is parse that instruction, right? We're going to turn that into the slice, right? Equals make slice with the instruction. All right. So now this should be in the form of, forward at position 0 and 5 at position 1. And now we have to think about that, right? So there's two conditions, right? Two like things we're manipulating. The horizontal position, that's always forward, right? And then the depth, which is going to be up or down. So I'm going to just deal with the H position first, right? So we will start with you know what we could do instead of this? I don't know how to test it, so I'm going to leave it this way. All right, so if slice position 0 equals forward, then we will H position, right? Plus equals, what do we have? We have to turn that into an int, right? Make int with int, inst instruction. Geez, I'm gonna have to make this I gotta make this more readable. 1. Okay. So this should, for every instruction, allow us to determine that position, right? And let's set this depth just to 1 real quick, because we can kind of test this, right? So our horizontal position should end up being 15, right? And if at the end of this, our horizontal position is 15 and our depth, which we're only setting is 1, then we should be able to get 15 here. So let's go test that, and we get the result of 15. So we're good here. We've successfully determined that first part. All right, second part. Else. So else, we're gonna dive into else. We're gonna say if instruction slice 0 is down. So remember, down is actually where we're going to be adding to it, right? Because we're talking about depth, right? So it's a little bit weird, right? Equals down. Then we're going to do sort of the similar thing. Equals down. Then we will depth plus equals make int. We can just copy these. Okay, so we're adding that to the depth. Else Roll some traffic to it. All right, now let's see. I think that should be all we need to do. See if we get a passing test here, and we do a passing test. All right, I think that's all we got to do. Let's uncomment out these. Obviously, we're going to have to. I think we're good here. I gotta save it to import those things, and let's go run go and see what we got. All right, I'm gonna type that in. See if we get it. Submit it. We got our first gold star. There we go. All right. Let's continue. You see all that? I'll get rid of my face. So part 2, based on your calculations, it doesn't seem to make any sense. Process is more complicated. Well, that's good because that was not very complicated. Based on your calculation, okay. In addition to the horizontal position and depth, you also need to track a third value, aim, which also starts at 0. The commands mean something entirely different than you first thought. Down increases your aim by X units. Up decreases your aim by X units. Forward does 2 things. It increases your horizontal position by X. That's what we did before. It increases your depth by your aim multiplied by X. Okay, so I think, here, let me pull my, so I think what they're saying is, it increases an angle, and then you also, so you go both forward that, but you also go down in sort of whatever, angle you're going at, right? So up's down, down is up. So we're going to have to, let's see. Rethink about this. So that's 5. All right, so we're still going to do some of the same stuff, right? So down and up don't actually do anything anymore, right? We're just sort of tracking like what angle we're going in. But when we do a forward, we are adds 8 to your thing, but all right, so here is, okay, I'm just gonna add the sort of, I don't know if, let's add, bring my, all right, let's grab part 2, and we want our 900. All right. What does it mean about this? Oh, because part 2 still has this as an int. Okay. Right. So I think that this is going to be super similar. So I'm just going to copy it all over, and we're going to alter it somewhat, right? Let's look at it again, right? So our depth is 0, and we're still going to be multiplying those at the end, right? But forward does 2 things, right? And depth So depth up and down do the same thing, right? We're not thinking about it as progress anymore though, because progress only happens at forward. So every time we have a forward position, we're going to be doing two things, right? Oh no, we need an aim. That's right. Okay. So all the things that I was saying before are based on, let's call these all aim, right? Because this is what we were doing before, was actually determining aim, right? Now we need to add a depth. And what we're doing here is when we go forward, we're going to depth plus equals aim times instruction slice 1, right? Oops. Test it. Passes. All right, so we're doing that right. Let's go ahead and uncomment it out. Do that. Oops. What have I done? I don't want to test it again. I'll run it. And my result is a very large number. Let's see if it works. We did it. 1 gold star. Okay. All right. That's it. Space bar. We're able to reuse most of our stuff. Didn't retest anything. Guess I could have tested the depth and aim, right? But most of it was just sort of thinking in our heads. All right, so that's it. That's day 2 in Go. Taking off. I might do it a little earlier tomorrow, just so that I can get more points with all the boards that I'm on. So if you want to watch live, you're going to have to get on earlier too. All right, take care. Bye.